Hello. Okay, today I want to share that with you because it really seems extremely important to me to improve your life. There are two big values that I think must be at the top of your values. If you have those two values at the top of your values, and that determines what you're going to decide, what you're going to to value, and to put in priority or not, it changes everything. The first value is, both of them are, at the same level, I would say, but one of them is uh, taking pleasure in what you do, focusing on what you love. Okay, I mean, there is an example that comes to my mind when I say that. At some point, and a lot of time, I was saying to myself, okay, I must go through this. It's not necessarily very enjoyable, but once I go through this, I'll be able to have a better life, a better situation, better circumstances, and so on. And I realized that obviously there are some times when you have to, it's not the most enjoyable thing you have to do, but you just have to do it, and it's not a big deal. But I mean, sometimes it's a situation, circumstances where you're not with good people, you're not in a good atmosphere, and so on, and you just continue doing it because you believe you have to go through that. That's the only way to succeed in a certain area. And I was thinking about that when I was I had the qualifications of a professional pilot of plane. And the schools I went in were not necessarily the best. I don't know. It didn't happen in the best atmosphere possible. Maybe, possibly, that's because at that time the employment for pilots were not good, and so a lot of instructors were there because they couldn't just fly in a company, and there was like frustrated, um, like you could feel the resentment in them, and they were not really happy to instruct you, and the atmosphere was not really good. I felt I had to go through this because I had to go in the school and get my qualifications, and after that I realized that the kind of I don't know, I gained, I went out of this school with a lot of negative emotions about flying. And it took me some time to, in a way, recover, and it really like uh, put some negative emotions with this activity of flying. Whereas I was obviously very enthusiastic, and I'm still very enthusiastic about flying, but it really brought a very negative thing to my to this activity, um, and I realized that when you do something in a bad condition, no matter what, you're not going to gain something out of that, even though you think, okay, but in this example it's very meaningful because, okay, I still have the qualifications, and then I can continue and my way in this area. But I have this qualification, but I also have something else with it, and that something else now I have to recover in a way from that, and that's very bad. So, and that's just one example in my life, but I'm sure you can relate to that too. When you do things in bad conditions, you don't gain something. Uh, Either things are good or they are not, but you don't gain out of a bad situation, out of about not situation, but out of something you don't live correctly. So either you do it with love, enthusiasm, and you feel good, and you're going to gain a lot of things, or you don't, and try to avoid that at any cost. Even if you have to waste, to lose your time, to waste some money, no matter what, but avoid that situation at any cost, because that's clearly not something you're going to gain something from. Now, the second thing, second value, very important, is express yourself. We are happy if we are able to express ourselves, not necessarily by speaking. It can be by speaking, but not only. by physical expression. I was doing judo for a lot of time, and expressing myself through judo was a big thing. Now I'm dancing, and that's a good thing too. You can sing, you can do a lot of things. I don't know, play music, you can any kind of thing, but create, but express yourself, be yourself. Every one of us is very different. Every one of us has a particular thing to bring, a certain way of expressing ourselves, and that's what makes us different. That's our personal value, and everyone needs that. We need to express ourselves, and other people around you are going to benefit most of this expression. Not something that everyone can do, but this personal expression is probably the best value we can add to others. Okay, and that's what makes us the most happy in our life. So if you put those two values at first, and you screen everything that comes to you by saying, okay, first, do I enjoy that? Do I love that? And can I express myself? I put first these two values and then everything else. So if something doesn't work because of that, no matter what, it doesn't really matter. First I must love and I must express myself, and everything else comes after that. If you put these things in this order, your life is going to be much more enjoyable. You're going to love your life. Okay, so everything else that we used to put at first in our list, because that's the way we have to act, to behave, and so on, make us unhappy if there is no first those values. Think of that. Try to reorder, screen everything that comes to your life by putting first those two values, and see what it gives.